The Motivator Show. The internet's most inspirational podcast. Every Saturday morning from 8 to 10 a.m. Ninas is right. Part 2. The Big Debate. Ninas is right. The movement for the new Nigeria, which was an alliance comprising of self-determination organizations of the Lower Niger Bloc, the Yoruba Bloc, and the Middle Belt Bloc. Although these organizations work separately in their blocs, they would meet and work together as a MNN alliance. It is the MNN alliance of self-determination organizations that birthed the Ninas movement. Ninas is right. Our purpose: to promote and foster self-determination for the indigenous people of the target area, also called the Ninas Alliance territory. Ninas is right. Our mission: the Ninas movement is a firm and active commitment to creating and maintaining friendships, alliances, and productive unity amongst all the indigenous peoples of our alliance territory, both at home and abroad. Ninas is right. Our goal: to decommission the illegitimate 1999 constitution, which is the mechanism used by the minority to create a situation worse than the apartheid South Africa. Our strategy, by way of the orderly process of constitutional force majeure, declared by Ninas in Lagos on the 16th of December 2020. It involves working with current government structures to start the transition process while ethnic nationalities exercise their sovereignty via self-determination regional referendum. Our destination is a society in which indigenous ethnic nationalities are able to peacefully and democratically decide what political arrangement they want to obtain via autochthonous constitution in a proper and honest way. At long last, indigenous people will be able to transition to new geographical and political arrangements chosen by we, the people. Ninas is right. The results of peaceful negotiations will benefit all families. Good education services promote good family values. Good healthcare services. Ninas is right. The result of peaceful negotiations will reduce government official corruptions. Governance in the public interest, an efficient civil service, police service, not a police force. Ninas is right. The result of peaceful negotiations will improve access to basic services, access to clean water, reliable electricity supply, reliable internet services. Ninas is right. The result of peaceful negotiations will ensure Nigeria's natural resources benefit Nigeria, not just foreign corporations. Invest to export rare metals. Invest in gas and to export refined oil. Invest to export lithium for energy storage. Ninas is right. The result of peaceful negotiations will create the environment for the 21st century digital economy. To create African digital corporations, integrate all Nigerians into the international digital economy, create African quantum computer manufacturing capacity. Ninas is right. The Motivator Show. Success is ours for the taking. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. It's free. Press the like button and don't forget to leave a comment. Follow us on Facebook. Give us the thumbs up and share with your family and friends. We are also on Instagram and TikTok. Follow us there too. You can listen to us on galaxyafui.net and also Mixcloud too. The Motivator Show. The internet's most inspirational podcast. Every Saturday morning from 8 to 10 a.m. Ninas is right. Part 2. The Big Debate. Ninas is right. The movement for the new Nigeria, which was an alliance comprising of self-determination organizations of the Lower Niger Bloc, the Yoruba Bloc, and the Middle Belt Bloc. Although these organizations worked separately in their blocs, they would meet and work together as a MNN alliance. It is the MNN alliance of self-determination organizations that birthed the Ninas movement. Ninas is right. Our purpose: to promote and foster self-determination for the indigenous people of the target area, also called the Ninas Alliance Territory. Ninas is right. Our mission: the Ninas movement is a firm and active commitment to creating and maintaining friendships, alliances, and productive unity amongst all the indigenous peoples of our alliance territory, both at home and abroad. Ninas is right. Our goal to decommission the illegitimate 1999 constitution, which is the mechanism used by the minority to create a situation worse than the apartheid South Africa. Our strategy, by way of the orderly process of constitutional force majeure, declared by NIDAS in Lagos on the 16th of December 2020. It involves working with current government structures to start the transition process while ethnic nationalities exercise their sovereignty via self-determination regional referendum. Our destination is a society in which indigenous ethnic nationalities are able to peacefully and democratically decide what political arrangement they want to obtain via autochthonous constitution in a proper and honest way. At long last, indigenous people will be able to transition to new geographical and political arrangements chosen by we, the people. NIDAS is right. The results of peaceful negotiations will benefit all families. Good education services promote good family values. Good healthcare services. NIDAS is right. The result of peaceful negotiations will reduce government official corruptions. Governance in the public interest, an efficient civil service, police service, not a police force. NIDAS is right. The result of peaceful negotiations will improve access to basic services, access to clean water, reliable electricity supply, reliable internet services. NIDAS is right. The result of peaceful negotiations will ensure Nigeria's natural resources benefit Nigeria, not just foreign corporations. Invest to export rare metals. Invest in gas and to export refined oil. Invest to export lithium for energy storage. NIDAS is right. The result of peaceful negotiations will create the environment for the 21st century digital economy. To create African digital corporations, integrate all Nigerians into the international digital economy, create African quantum computer manufacturing capacity. NIDAS is right. The Motivator Show. Success is ours for the taking. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. It's free. Press the like button and don't forget to leave a comment. Follow us on Facebook. Give us the thumbs up and share with your family and friends. We are also on Instagram and TikTok. Follow us there too. You can listen to us on galaxy.net and also Mixcloud too. The Motivator Show. The internet's most inspirational podcast. Every Saturday morning from 8 to 10 a.m. Ninas is right. Part 2, the big debate. Ninas is right. The movement for the new Nigeria, which was an alliance comprising of self-determination organizations of the Lower Niger Bloc, the Yoruba Bloc, and the Middle Belt Bloc. Although these organizations work separately in their blocs, they would meet and work together as a MNN alliance. It is the MNN alliance of self-determination organizations that birthed the Ninas movement. Ninas is right. Our purpose: to promote and foster self-determination for the indigenous people of the target area, also called the Ninas Alliance territory. Ninas is right. Our mission: the Ninas movement is a firm and active commitment to creating and maintaining friendships, alliances, and productive unity amongst all the indigenous peoples of our alliance territory, both at home and abroad. Ninas is right. Our goal: to decommission the illegitimate 1999 constitution, which is the mechanism used by the minority to create a situation worse than the apartheid South Africa. Our strategy, by way of the orderly process of constitutional force majeure, declared by Ninas in Lagos on the 16th of December 2020. It involves working with current government structures to start the transition process while ethnic nationalities exercise their sovereignty via self-determination regional referendum. Our destination is a society in which indigenous ethnic nationalities are able to peacefully and democratically decide what political arrangement they want to obtain via autochthonous constitution in a proper and honest way. At long last, indigenous people will be able to transition to new geographical and political arrangements chosen by we, the people. Ninas is right. The results of peaceful negotiations will benefit all families. Good education services promote good family values. Good healthcare services. Ninas is right. The result of peaceful negotiations will reduce government official corruptions. Governance in the public interest, an efficient civil service, police service, not a police force. Ninas is right. The result of peaceful negotiations will improve access to basic services, access to clean water, reliable electricity supply, reliable internet services. Ninas is right. The result of peaceful negotiations will ensure Nigeria's natural resources benefit Nigeria, not just foreign corporations. Invest to export rare metals. Invest in gas and to export refined oil. invest to export lithium for energy storage. Nidas is right. The result of peaceful negotiation will create the environment for the 21st century digital economy. To create African digital corporations, integrate all Nigerians into the international digital economy, create African quantum computer manufacturing capacity. Nidas is right. The Motivator Show. All right. All right. It's the Motivator Show. This is where we translate our words into action and where success is ours for the taking. How are you feeling, people? How are you feeling? Good. I'm feeling good. I'm feeling alive. I'm feeling invigorated. Oh, it's the motivator here. We're going to motivate you. You'll be so inspired, so alive, so overwhelmed by the energy we're going to share with you today. Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's the motivator. Okay, let's go right into the show. And there is no waiting for anyone else. Here we go, right into it. I believe, first of all, what I will do is, I didn't do it last time, but I will do it this strong. Remind you where you can connect to the Motivator Show. And we are truly multi-platform. Why are we multi-platform? We're multi-platform because it makes sense. Some of you like digital radio. Some of you like social media. Some of you like other and different types of social media. So what I'm going to do is bring up the various screens and I will show you where we can be found. First of all, we can be found on galaxy.net. Okay? Galaxy.net. Okay? There are some other complicated URLs I could quote, but it's simpler to go to galaxy.net. Okay? So there you are. It's on the screen. Galaxy.net. AFIWE.net. Galaxy.net. Okay. Yeah, a truly de-brainwashing digital radio station. One that's been around for more than 40 years. Of course, those of you on YouTube have found us already on The Motivator Show. Those of you on Facebook have already found us on The Motivator Show. Those of you on Mixcloud already have found us under The Motivator Show on Mixcloud. Of course, we're also live and direct via Instagram under The Motivator Show. And excerpts, of course, will go out on TikTok over the next 24, 48 and coming strongs. Okay, so that's us. And we are live and direct right now. Let me take this off the screen, Aaron. So that's the connection, multi-platform. And we'll be adding to those platforms in the coming weeks and months. Go right across the field. More than 150,000 regular listeners across all the platforms. Thank you for your support. Let's continue to grow our listenership. Share the links to this program, to this show, with your family, friends, your networks, and of course, beyond. Yes, I'm feeling alive. Yes, I am alive. Oh, yes. Let's get it up there, shall we? Let's get it. Oh, do you see the wonderful? Oh, you see the fireworks coming out of my head. Oh, yeah. Okay, now, before I go on, what I want to do is, again, quickly recognize past contributors to the Motivator Show. And I'm going to keep saying it. I've had an inspired group of guests, persons, men and women, truly inspired people who represented us so well as a community, who've shown what we are capable of achieving. And of course, we can achieve even more. what I want to do first of all is give light, of course, to that wonderful gentleman. Although we had some challenges, he was in transit via international airport, a cliff in Zanzibar. I want to congratulate him on Afri Evolve, okay? Working hard to support our people across the continent, yeah? Ensuring they've got good access, good water, good sanitary supplies, yeah? Ensuring those basics for human existence are provided. And of course, planting trees for peace as well. Thumbs up to Cliff and Zumbo. Well done, well done. And long may you continue to grow. Yeah, may your work continue to grow. I also, of course, want to give a big thumbs up to the Black Cowboy Coffee! Yes, representing African community in the coffee industry, yeah, promoting African coffee beans, recognizing the African origins of coffee, yeah, that come from Ethiopia, that wonderful, undefeated nation, Ethiopia. That's where it comes from. How many of you were aware of this? Yeah? Oh, yeah. Interesting country is Ethiopia, and there'll be a future podcast where we'll focus on Ethiopia, a most interesting place to behold. The home, of course, of the Ethiopian Orthodox Tahido Church, the original Christian church, yeah, from which all other churches have come from. The church in Rome, the church here in England, yeah, the church in Poland and Russia. The origins are all from Ethiopia, yeah, which is why all the early deities look like gentlemen and women like you and me. Oh, yeah, oh, yeah. And that is simply an historical fact. I give praise to those of you who are members of the Ethiopian Tahido Orthodox Church. I give praise to you. Thumbs up to you. And I look forward to visiting your churches in the coming weeks and months. And long may that continue. Long may that continue. I also want to give just 2 more minutes, give another praise, of course. And, you recall we had the African International Virtual Town Hall, or the Sunday Solidarity International Meeting, hosted by the Global African Congress UK and the RMT. Yep. And of course, it's an opportunity for people, Africans in particular, worldwide, to talk and report from their countries unfiltered by big media corporations. So you receive the actual facts of what is actually happening in those countries, as opposed to the filtered information we are so often receive here, particularly here in Britain, and I have no doubt United States and other places where we reside. So long may the Sunday International, or indeed, I'm going to call it again, the African International Virtual Town Hall. It's virtual because you can log on remotely, okay? And I might even give out the relevant connection address, so you could and can connect tomorrow from 4 to 7. The international meeting will take place. Later on, I'll give out their details. So I'm really pleased with those who have participated in these podcasts and have contributed to growing and helping them to be recognized, but growing their numbers of supporters. I am pleased that will continue, and I remain committed to your causes. Oh, yeah, it's the Motivator Show. This is where we translate our words into action, and where success is ours for the taking. Okay, without no further ado, let me go straight into a crucial part of these podcasts. In some cases, it is life and death. And this is our lifestyle messages. Crucial messages, okay? Crucial messages. Because they affect you, how you behave, and how you treat yourself, your body, your mind, your soul. Yeah. I simply ask you to consider a few basic ingredients in our cuisine which are over-consumed, and in many cases, I'm not going to say some, I'm going to say many cases, have long-term health consequences. And for that reason, I give out these lifestyle messages. They're important because I know I have the evidence it has saved lives. Yeah. Made many members of our community happier because they're healthier. Yeah. And of course, it's had that ramification, that knock on, yeah, that cascading impact on the attitude, our attitude to food, exercise, general health, and well being. So I'm going to commence right now and get into it, into our lifestyle messages. Let me bring it up on the screen, shall I? There we go. Okay. So let's begin, shall we? Let's begin. I ask you to consider the amount of sugar and salt that you ingest each day. Okay, sugar is one of those ingredients we add to our food, and we love to give sweets to our children on the basis it tastes nice. But what it does is simply smothers the food. So you only actually taste sugar. Why is sugar so appealing? Because I've already told you I've got a sweet tooth, because I've become addicted to it. It's because the molecules in sugar are very similar to the molecules in our brain, the hormones that are secreted by our bodies, instructed by our brains. Yeah, it's very similar connection between the two, very similar in their construction. So it's easy for some of us to become addicted to sugar or feel that sugar is an essential feature in our teas, coffees. We feel that we've got to eat it in unusually large quantums. I ask you to consider the amount of sugar that you consume each day. I no longer purchase sugar from the grocery store, for the food I consume usually has ample amount of sugar. I am assuring you. Okay, I am assuring you. I equally ask you to consider the amount of salt that you consume. Again, salt is one of those interesting ingredients, but it serves as a flavor enhancer. Okay. Actually, that is a myth. It is actually a myth. Okay. Salt has its purposes, particularly if it's the ground salt with lots of minerals. It is the minerals in the salt that we seek, not the salt itself in the quantum that far too many members of the community consume. So, of course, one of the side effects of the overconsumption of sugar and salt is, of course, diabetes and high blood pressure or hypertension. In our communities, we have way above average numbers of diabetics in the community, which is a direct causal link between their lifestyle and the impact that lifestyle on their bodies. Okay, and salt, of course, the harder the arteries that increase pump through our heart and the raising of our blood pressure remains a constant pressure upon us. Yes, high blood pressure. And those of you with diabetes and high blood pressure will recognize these words. So these messages are to encourage other members of the community not to succumb to what becomes addictive behavior, taught to us as children quite by accident by our guardians and parents. Okay. The other ingredient I ask you to consider is, of course, carbohydrates, a pretty basic ingredient, usually derived from wheat or indeed root vegetables. You see examples on the screen. You see the pastas, yep. Another example, the bread that many of us love to eat, and gosh, it is full of other chemicals. And again, you see the root vegetables, the yam and the potatoes, another major source of carbohydrates. And I say to you, yes, consume, but moderate your consumption. We're told by the experts no more than a fistful of food per sitting. I know. I mean, I realize that fact that I've been overeating for decades, which had accounted for my slightly above weight. Oh, yeah. Okay. And it's difficult, many of you recognize it's difficult to shift the weight until you make major changes to your diet. And eating appropriately will lead to a much longer, healthier life. Of course, The other ingredient in our diet, which is not one that we usually consciously add, but we find in our diet, and I put an example on the screen, and that is, of course, raw meat or meat products. Yeah, dairy products. Dairy products are simply fat. Cheese is simply fat. Butter is simply fat. Margarine is simply fat and other corporate chemicals. And of course, milk is primarily fat or lactose, as it were, another form of fat. Okay? So I ask you here, in noting the fat in our meat, generally, frying is bad. I'm going to say it, and I'll leave the expert to correct me. I don't mind. But frying is definitely bad. It is better to grill, to get rid as much of the fat as possible before consuming the meat. You see it on the screen. You see the red, that's the meat, but the white is definitely the fat. You want to avoid this at all costs. You do it for 1 year, fine. 2 years, well, fair enough. 4 years, okay. 8, 16, 32, it's too much. And here you see one of the internal impacts of the overconsumption of the ingredients I've just highlighted. You see an artery that is partially blocked. Yep, it's partially blocked with the salt and the sugar, with the fat and the carbohydrate, and I'll get onto the starch in a moment. Yep, this is basically what this blockage is. Yep, and you see the red corpuscles trying to get past it, and as a consequence, our heart has to pump harder with more intensity, raising our blood pressure. And there you see the consequences of our action. It's subconscious, I know, but there is an internal example of what is happening inside our bodies. Okay. The last ingredient I must give light to is, of course, starch. Starch is usually found, and I have to say it, in rice. In our case, because we eat so much rice, it's the challenge, of course. Okay. If you're from the Caribbean, and particularly from Jamaica, we have the rice and beef. And yes, I'm Jamaican, and I can hear the Jamaicans making noise. Yes, I hear you, I hear you. Hey, from West Africa, and the jollof rice. Yes, I hear you, I hear you, I hear you. I'm not saying you don't eat the rice. It's the quantum and the regularity that you eat it. That's the problem. Yeah, that's the problem. The overconsumption of starch is not good for our general health and well-being. And if in doubt what I've just said, please speak to your doctor, speak to your nutritionist, or whoever has access to your medical records, who is medically qualified. Speak to them. Just verify what I'm saying. You see those wonderful fairy cakes, those sweet, starch-filled, sugar-filled, carbohydrate-filled fairy cakes. You see the sweet biscuits and so on. Yes, yes, that's the problem. We eat these in far too great a quantity. I try to avoid them now like the plague. I no longer consume them. So I ask you to consider the amount of starch that you consume each day. It is for you to decide. It's not me forcing you. It's for you to decide what is good for you. But it's got the consequences of the overconsumption of all the ingredients I've highlighted so far is what you see on screen right now. Overweightness or obesity in our community is off the charts. Yep, it's off the charts. There's areas in London, particularly of African and Asian communities, in which the majority, particularly of the women, are overweight, with all the consequential health consequences that that entails. You can see the lady and gentleman here with the bloated shoulders, the bloated chest, the bloated abdomens, the bloated thighs, and the bloated buttocks, or bottoms in the other couplings, if you like. Yes, that is the consequence. Overweightness weighs you down, yeah, and does not help you to live a long and healthy life. I urge you to consider these words, and if in doubt, please seek out professional advice. I'm not a professional, but I'm elected official, and I see the official figures, and the official figures make for uncomfortable reading. It is our responsibility, not the healthcare professionals. It's our responsibility to take responsibility for our general health and well-being. The expert would all recommend that we need to eat far more basic fruits and vegetables. You see on screen you see the beetroot, you see the tomatoes, you see the oranges, you see the grapes, you see the avocados, yeah? You see the apple, you see the pear, you see the pumpkin seeds, yeah? You see the lemon, the bananas, yeah? The tomatoes, yeah? You see the cucumbers, you see the cabbages, lettuce, you see it all. This is what our bodies crave. Natural, untainted food. Yep. You see those root veg with the onions. Yep. Yep. You see the pumpkins. Yep. Oh my gosh, lovely food here. This is what our bodies crave. Our body can convert these food into blood, into flesh, into brain, into all things nice. See the wonderful sweet corn there. Oh my God, my mouth is watering. See the carrots. Oh, they're dear. This is what our bodies most crave. Natural, untainted food. This is what it can convert into human beings. And of course, many of you will recognize that we are mostly water, more than 70% water. It's important to be appropriately hydrated. And you see the gentleman and the young lady here just topping themselves up. Ideally, depending upon your height and your mass, ideally you need between 2 to 3 liters of water per day. The foods I've just highlighted all contains abundant amount of water. But, you know, because we sweat and we move around a lot, we need to top up ourselves. Yeah? But ensure that you're properly hydrated. Drink appropriate amounts of water. Not too much, I might add, but appropriate amounts of water. It will do you good. And of course, these messages will mean nothing, absolutely nothing whatsoever, unless you exercise. You see the young lady here with her weights and she's pumping those weights. You see the mature gentleman, he's running with a smile on his face, headphones in his ears, listening to his music, and he's running and he's smiling, he's running for his life, he's enjoying himself. See the young lady running up and down those stairs, and trust me, I've been doing that, and that's tough. That's real exercise, running up and down those stairs. And do 100 of those. But if you haven't done it previously, just build up 10, then 20, then 30, build up. But that's an excellent form of exercise. But the lower body and upper body with the young lady with those weights. You see the young man with his bulging muscle doing his press up. Essential for life. This is what will keep us healthy and enable you to survive the bacteria, the viruses, all the other maladies that are pervading our background environment, okay? Boost your immune response, have clarity of thought, and be able to survive the next day through to the next day. I commend these examples to you. I urge you to exercise. Exercise is life. Yep. Eating well is fine, but exercise is life. If you're sedentary, you sit in one place for long hours, I urge you to exercise because exercise is life. Okay. So the final part of this message is that you should take care of your mental and spiritual health. If in doubt with your mental health, please seek out a health professional. If you feel uncomfortable doing so, seek out whoever you most trust. Speak to that person about these issues. I can only trust that such a person will understand your needs and will help you to find and obtain the right professional advice. I urge you to do so. And of course, human beings are essentially spiritual people. Our spiritual health is as important as our physical health. So I urge you, speak to your spiritual advisors, whoever that might be. He or she, they will give you the advice in order to promote your spiritual health. I commend these messages to you. I commend these messages to you. There you are. Let me get back. Now, if in doubt, I say again, if in doubt, what you should do is speak to your health professionals. Yeah? Speak to your health professionals. Do not suffer in silence. I can say again, do not suffer in silence. Okay, let me get back here now. Let me put back here. Here we go. Now then, those messages are important. And I have significant evidence to show we've saved not hundreds, but thousands of people, their lives and their general health and well-being over the 3 and 4 years that I've been doing this and giving these messages out. So I'm pleased for your feedback. In fact, continue to give the feedback. This is further affirmation that these messages are crucial to our general health and well-being, not just yours, your families, your friends, but your wider networks, the wider community's health and well-being. It is strategically important that we maintain good health. Oh dear. Well done to you all. What I'm also empowered by is in coming across members of the community who have responded to these messages, recognized their importance, and have been able to overcome both religious divides, ethnic divide, and social class divides, then come together, pool their resources in order to exercise together. I want to give you an example. I've come across the wonderful Countdown organization. African, they're truly a Pan-African organization. People from right across the continent, the Caribbean, here in the UK, we come together in common aim and common purpose, recognizing their health is truly their wealth. There can be no social, ethnic, or other divide. We must work together to uphold our health. So I'm going to play you their video, examples of them exercising together in truly a Pan-Africanist way, recognizing there is no barrier when it comes to your health. Your health is truly your wealth. I'm going to play the Countdown fitness video. They come together, ordinary people come together in common aim and common purpose, recognizing it's better to exercise together. There we go.
Famous. Hello.
Ishmael. And you see them there. Common aim and common purpose. Right across Africa and the Caribbean. Yeah. Here in Britain, working together, they recognize their health is true. Watch them. Oh yeah.
Now why are they try for always get them nice every day and night? This one way we all fend we safe, not nobody on. You want to eat what you want, we go down you belly nine you young. And the balance where you go die left now all the money on. So why for the pity you say for? The motor car where you let buy 'em. If you see finance where you call it deal 'em. You meet up woman where you let yanam. And if you let the man
There's a big people there, but they're exercising.
Yeah. You feel for it, some for eat that fine la power where you let na for buy 'em. And tie 'em. And if you baby love you back love 'em. But if you love them,
they must shake her.
Cause nobody knows.
I'm not expecting online though.
So every day of my life till old, I fasting enjoyment stay go.
I'm inside watching them. Hey, let me put my watch.
All man they fed for himself. Now why I know they allowed with the other man they can't take me peace away. Me joy away. Me smile away. Oh no, make nobody take you peace away.
Oh, look at them,
Me joy away.
From Saudi, Nigeria, from Jamaica, yeah, from Ghana, yeah, from Ethiopia, there's Ethiopian there as well. Let's see from Kenya. South Africa. Hey, from here in Britain. You hear? So the children, even children exercising.
So why for the pity you say for? The motor car where you let buy 'em. If you see finance where you call it deal 'em.
Oh, it's so exciting to watch them.
You let yanam. And if you let the man for keep 'em.
All their resources, in the facilities, so they can exercise together. You know, exercising by itself can be quite lonely. Yeah. The comfort of others, encouragement of others, the care of your physical health.
Cause nobody know what's in tomorrow all. So every day of my life till old, I Fasting, enjoyment, stay go. Now for land, for care for yourself. Nobody love you past you yourself. All man, they fed for himself. Oh. Now why I know they allowed with the other man, they can't take me peace away. Away, me joy away. Away, me smile away. Away, oh no, no. No make nobody take you peace away. Away, me joy away. Away, me smile away. Away, oh no, no.
Okay. Oh, wow. Isn't it inspiring? Yep. They've overcome religious divides, social divide, ethnic divide, and come together in common aim and common purpose. That is Pan-Africanism in practice. It works. It works. Oh yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah. Okay, I'm going to move shortly to the main theme of today's podcast. But before I do that, I want to give a few quick announcements. As you know me, there's some pet organizations to whom I give 100 unreserved support to. Okay, so let me get the first one up. First one, of course, you know very much I'm a child-centered father and grandfather nowadays. Can you imagine? Oh, grandfather, yeah? But I remain child-centered, yeah? Ensuring that our children, we invest and we create a better world for them to grow in. And that growth, of course, will be even magnified by their children, my great-great-grandchildren. That's the purpose. That's why we invest in our children. Never allow them to go fallow and walk by them on the roadside. So I'm going to let's bring it up now, and let's bring up the NABs. There we go. Bring up NABs. There you go. I want to give support and recognise the National Association of Black Supplementary School here in Britain, or NABs as they like to call themselves. If you've got a child, if you're a guardian or parent, and you want to give extra tuition, extra support for your children, contact the National Association of Black Supplementary Schools or academies, or indeed whatever description that's applied locally to yourselves. Okay, they are all, we hope they're all registered here. Their website address, it's www.nabss.org.uk. You can email them, of course, at info@nabss.org.uk, or speak to the inspired Brother Near on 07958 348 558. I commend NABS, or the National Association of Black Supplementary Schools, to you. An outstanding organisation, and an organisation that should receive our unreserved support. Unreserved support. Now, let's give also praise to another organisation. Let me get the NABS out the way. There you are, NABM. So if you are affected by the UK government's hostile environment, so-called hostile environment created by the current government in their so-called Home Office, and you were unjustly affected by not recognising your status here in the UK, even though you've been here for decades. Yeah, just because the Home Office decided not to retain your record. Because at the time many of us were born, our countries were remaining part of the so-called British Commonwealth, or Empire, as it were. Okay, now, if you are affected by Windrush, as it's euphemistically called, it doesn't, Windrush is connected to the Caribbean, but actually it affects many of our cousins from the continent of Africa as well, that may well be affected by this scandal. So I want you to contact the Windrush Legal Advice Clinic. They were here only a few strongs ago, here on the Motivator Show. They're based in the West Midlands, 58 Bank Street in West Midland, WV148PD for Donald, or you can email them on info@windrushlegaladvice.com. Clinic. Yep, it's all one word as a word. Windrush Legal Advice Clinic.com, or you can phone on 01902 382 542. I repeat, 01902 382 542. I commend the Windrush Legal Advice Clinic to you, and I commend their work. Outstanding group of people. We'll have them back here in the next 2 strongs, I hope, just to give us an update on progress made on a number of cases that were highlighted in the previous podcast. Let me just take that off now. Okay, what I'll now do is move to the theme of today's podcast. Okay, now, what I would say to you is this, that these podcasts are intended to inspire, to empower, to inform, to inspire, to inform. They're intended to bridge gaps, provide a new inclusive environment, so that cooperative economics becomes our mantra. Cooperative politics, social activities is the mantra. Okay. And I want to just put on screen a quote from Samora Michel. Okay, let me put it on the screen. There you go. Remembering Samora Michel. Of all the things we have done, the most important, the one that history will record as the principal contribution to our generation, is that we understand how to turn an armed struggle into a revolution. That we realize that it was essential to create a new mentality to build a new society. And that is, I've got to say, the primary objective of these podcasts, that we build a new society, African society in particular. I'm of African heritage. A new society that is truly inclusive, respects people's religious or ethnic differences, respects them, and uses it as an advantage to build cohesion, build bonds. And together with those bonds, the future is what we make of it. Okay. But also, I want to give another quotation from what is my most regular guest here. Okay. I won't bring her into the studio yet, but I want to quote from her. Okay. I'm going to put it on screen. Let me get it on screen. There we go. Let me put it on screen. Oh, I've got it. There you go. And many of you will recognize her as Ndidi Uechu, a truly inspired literary genius. Okay, I commend her articles to you. Okay, I'm going to quote from her. Given the state of Nigeria and Africa, I think people haven't yet made the mental link that they are responsible for the kind of existence they hand over to their children. Profound. I'm going to say it again, because hopefully we'll be joined by this wonderful genius in our midst. Given the state of Nigeria and Africa, I think people haven't yet made the mental link that they are responsible for the kind of existence they hand over to their children. Profound, huh? Absolutely profound. Yeah. I commend her articles to you. Okay. Truly inspired literary genius in our midst. Okay. And hopefully we'll be joined by that literary genius shortly on the Motivator Show. Okay. Because we want to talk about Nigeria. We want to talk about the messages initiated by Ninas. Yeah. We're going to talk about the alliance right across Nigeria that Ninas has cultivated. Okay. And we're going to have some important members of Ninas alongside Ndidi. Okay. Now, I hope that my guest will join us imminently. And whilst that is happening, they're queuing up in the green room, as it were. I'll leave them there for the moment. I just want the other guests to join us, then I'll bring them all in. But whilst that is happening, I do want to just refer to the chat, and those of you who want to communicate with the studio, you can access the chat if you're on YouTube or Facebook. Okay, you can access the chat there, and I may read out some of your messages. So let me acknowledge of those of you in the chat. I'm going to put the thumbs up. See if I can do the thumbs up in the chat. I don't know how to do that in the chat. There we go. I'll give you the thumbs up. I'm going to do the thumbs up on screen now. There you are. You see the thumbs up is coming up now. It should come up any moment now. The thumbs up. Yep. Let's do the thumbs up. I would have recognized you all. I recognize you all. Okay. But I see that there's one message in the chat. Let's see. Good morning, Mr. The moderator. Please give your opinions on the mayoral election and who would be advantageous to the black community. Need some for the London Assembly member of our community. Okay, interesting. Well, those of you who are in Britain and those of you who, of course, live in London will be aware that yesterday we had the London mayoral election and London Assembly elections. Okay, and we have three main parties, but really two main parties. Okay, um, uh, and of course, London has been ruled by the Labour Party these past 8 years and led eminently by the remarkable Sadiq Khan. Okay, Sadiq Khan, who, if I thought about it, I would have prepared a video of his commemoration and recognition of the transatlantic chattel enslavement of African peoples, a memorial event he held only a few months ago at County Hall here in London. And his speech was truly, truly inspirational. And if I can find it, and if I've got enough time during this podcast, I say to the writer of that message, okay, once you've listened to his speech and his commitment to racial equality, opportunities for all, which is very much the principles on which the borough that I live in here in Southwark in London uphold and practices every day. Oh yeah, without a shadow of a doubt, you should vote for Sadiq Khan. There you are. I've said it. It's there. It's on the table. But I'll give a notice, of course. I'm also, of course, a Labour councillor as well. But I'm Labour councillor because not of one policy. I'm a Labour councillor because of the suite of philosophical basis upon which the Labour Party was founded. Yep. Ordinary men and women, working women, that's who they're there to protect the most, as opposed to the landed gentry and those who are so-called part of so-called elites. Oh yeah, I'm unashamedly able to say so. I'm wondering if I should now just bring in at least one of my guests, and hopefully the other guests will join us imminently. We did the sound test yesterday. Let's see if this works. Hold on. Let's bring first my guest. Here we go. Let's try this one. Let's see if this works. If I can bring in. Let's see if this works. There we go. 1 moment. Let's try again. 1 moment. Let me unlock this. There we go. Okay, one more time. Let's see. It worked. Oh, it did work. Oh my gosh. In all her glory. The sun is shining on you indeed. Good morning. How are you?
Good morning. I'm all right. Can you hear me?
We can very well. Good. It's good audio. Good audio. Well done. Well done. Good audio. Now our other guest hasn't joined us yet. I was holding off for him. Is he joining us still?
Yes, that was my understanding.
Yes,
I've not communicated with him today, but yesterday, yes.
Yes, okay.
Let me text him.
Please do.
I'll text him.
Now,
okay. I'll mute myself.
Not a problem. Now, whilst indeed he's just making sure our other guest, who is a senior officer from NINAS, to join us. He's part of the NINAS Secretariat. Once he joins us, then we can get the interview up and running, because it's going to be an important occasion. Because it's not often we are able to speak to senior members of NINAS. Okay, you've seen those of you who are part of the earlier part of the show, the pre-show video, where I give light and can clarify the role of NINAS in creating change in Great Nigeria. Okay, and that is what they're about. Alliances right across the country so we can make changes to improve the prospects for ordinary men and women, the families, the children of Nigeria. That's what we want. Great Nigeria to succeed. We want great Nigeria to succeed. Okay. Now, so while she's trying to get all of our other guests from Nigeria, let me just continue. And what I might do while she's doing that, I'm going to play a part of the pre-show video, and it will provide a context from which the interview will take place. Let me just do this right now, and just pay attention to the details. Please pay attention. There we go. I can bring that in now. Let's see if I can get this to work. Okay, let's try it one more time. Oh, Ndidi, successful? Were you successful?
Well, I have texted him and I tried calling him, but he didn't answer the call.
Oh, actually, okay. In that case, and I'll just check to see if he sent the message through to me, and then we'll get the show underway. He hasn't sent the message through to me. He definitely has the link, because we linked last night, as you know, just to ensure if we had no problem. But I'm conscious of time, so I'm going to press on, because you will do, Ndidi. Huh? Our resident genius, literary genius, I'll just give him one of your quotes, inspired quotes. And I have to say, it's always a pleasure to read your articles, okay? And why is it a pleasure? Because, you're so down to earth, and it's just common sense. You just lay out the facts. And I know you have a passion for Nigeria. I know you have a passion for the people, and you just want to see peace and prosperity for all. And if that means that Nigeria has to be reconfigured, you reconfigure it so that it's appropriate for the time and the place. Yep, it meets the needs of the people. It should be the people that decide. Yep, I think that's right. So I just want to commend you. Okay. But before I begin, because I know you very well, Ndidi, okay, I just want you to introduce yourself and just say a little bit about yourself so the audience can get to know you as well as I know you. And you have my undying, unreserved affection. Go on, over to you. Just say a little bit about yourself.
Okay. All right. Good morning. Thank you, everyone. We're waiting for Mark Olisa. He's in the field, and where he is doesn't always have good network, okay? But I'm right now in Abuja in Nigeria. I'm Black British, but I have Igbo heritage. Both my parents are Igbo people, and those who know about Igbo land, they're from Inwane, so it's not far from Asaba. And right now it's in a state that they call Delta State. I'm a retired Metropolitan Police officer, so I have expertise in criminality and I know what crime is all about. And I came to Nigeria when I retired in 2015. I came in May. I retired in March 2015. And I came here to do farming. I wanted to have nothing to do with criminals. I've had enough of suspects and arresting and all that. And I wanted to do farming because it's something that would be nice for me. I have a science background, but not agriculture. So the farm had been started a few years before I actually came to Nigeria. And everything was going okay. But I came in 2015, one day after Buhari got sworn in. Then by January 2016, Fulani began to destroy my farm, trespassing, arson, harassing the workers, theft, robbery, all these things. I had to shut the farm down 2 years later. No compensation, nothing, money gone, hopes gone, everything. And I began to ask myself, what's going on? Because that would never happen in England, that somebody trespasses and destroys your business, your farm, whatever, whether you have a school as a business or a shop or a farm. And in my, as I'm searching, because, if you seek, you will find, I found out that Nigerians did not write their 1999 constitution. And I thought, oh gosh, it's a forgery. And sure enough, that was the next sentence I read. And I thought, oh gosh, we're going to go to war. But it was LNC, that's Lower Niger Congress, which is one of the self-determination organizations behind NINAS. It's actually the lead organization because they are custodians of the strategy. They actually had a strategy that we could reconfigure, renegotiate Nigeria without going to war. So if you have in your mind, I know it's going to annoy some Black people, but if you have in your mind the Berlin Conference, people sat around on a table and they created countries for themselves without going to war. So we can use that same principle. We sit down without having to kill Black people, and we negotiate for ourselves something that will work. And the way it happens is that every indigenous ethnic nation of Nigeria, because Nigeria is a multinational country, so you've got ethnic nations, different ones. You've got Ijaw, Igbo, Yoruba, Hausa, Tiv, all these. They all have their land. On their land, their ancestral land, they have sovereignty.
Can I ask, please, but pause there, because you're giving too much away now. Let me ask the questions. But well done, well done. That's a really good summary. You can tell she's a literary genius, can't you? There you are. She was able to contain, in relatively few words, an enormous amount of history and detail. But I want to just find a little bit out, some of it out from you. Now, Ndidi, I've just been told some people can't see you very well because you've got your back to the window, I think. That's why. I don't know what facility you're using. Are you able to turn around so the light shines on your face? They can see you better. They want to see you. Oh, there you are. That's a bit better. Oh, you're in the dark at the moment to us, at the moment. Are you able to turn around?
I think it's because of where I am. There's a lot of noise. My neighbor, they're doing some refurbishment of their property. So I had to find somewhere that there wouldn't be much noise. Sorry, guys, you're just going to have to go with my voice as if it's a radio.
All we can see is a silhouette outline of you. What it is, because you got your back to the window, if you're able to face the window, they can see your personage. There you are. Yeah. Oh, that's better. Oh, that's much better. Much better.
Is it better like this?
Much better. Yes, much better.
Okay.
They can appreciate your genius now, you see. There you are. Okay. Okay.
My old lady's face.
Oh, come along now. And Diddy, don't do that. Oh, don't do that. Don't do that. I said
no,
you're genius.
I like it. I like being old. I wouldn't be young in this day and age.
This is true. I'm not going to get into that. I'm going to ask you my first question. And thank you for that introduction. It was very helpful. I've been reading quite a lot on Nigeria and, of course, NINAS, what's happening within the country. And there's an expression that I hear from time to time, and maybe you can clarify for me. What does the expression "one Nigeria" mean? What does that mean?
All right. That is a good question. There's a difference between Nigeria and one Nigeria.
Okay.
One Nigeria is one Nigeria is this place that I am in. But I'll go back to some history. In the 1950s, when the British colonial occupiers now decided that they're going to leave Nigeria, we had three regions, and the three regions all had their regional constitutions. They went to Lancaster House in London and agreed to remain in this thing called Nigeria. But the only way they would remain that way was as a federation. And that means that there's going to be the presence of self-determination. That federal Nigeria is sort of like Nigeria. Things went very bad because the unknown to the indigenous Nigerians, the Fulani, who are immigrant settlers, they're not indigenous. They had a plan. So when the Nigerians thought that they were being free from Britain and they were now free to form a new country, they didn't know that they're going to be recolonized by the Fulani. Things went bad, and you can read about this in articles. There's somebody called Ben Boulie. Boulie is Gbulie. He wrote a book, The Five Majors. I've got the PDF version and I read it. He was one of the people who were involved in the first revolution. Some people call it military coup. I call it revolution now that I have the background information of January 1966.
Okay.
Because Ahmadu Bello, the Fulani, was going to now begin to grab Nigeria as a sort of a jihad for the Fulani to make it the estate of the Fulani as he had declared. And it was reported 12 days after independence in October 1960. Anyway, that was the January coup, 1966. The Arawa coup was then in July 1966. And it is that coup, that second one, the Arawa one, that now toppled the Nigeria, the Federation. And
Let me double check
go
here.
on.
Forgive me,
I have to now just add.
Okay, go ahead. Go ahead.
Go on. That was in 29th of July 1966. They then worked it out that Gowon should be the head of state because he was more malleable than the one who could have been head of state, who had a higher ranking. So they quickly they promoted Gowon so that he could be head of state. And yeah. So anyway, so this would be probably the 1st or 2nd of August. The first speech after that coup of July 29, Gowon was going to say something about the northern region seceding. But the British diplomats went and spoke to Gowon and the Caliphate and told them, if you dare secede from Nigeria, you're not going to be able to control the rich resources of the South, particularly of the eastern region. So he decided so he now changed his speech that had been, the first draft that had the one about secession, Araba, and it now became to keep Nigeria one is a task that must be done. So one Nigeria is a Nigeria that does not belong to Nigerians, where the ethnic nations are not exercising their sovereignty and are not exercising their self-determination. That's one Nigeria. And it's a one Nigeria that's a criminal enterprise that does not belong to Nigerians, benefits the Fulani and Britain.
Okay. There are no Fulani here to provide a contrast to what you described, but all the evidence suggests that your recollection is accurate. I'm interested, and there's a person in the chat who's asked, of course, is understanding how is it possible for the Fulani, who are not the majority population, are able to have such dominance in the country. And you may, as part of that response, you might just want to just continue to narrate your personal experience and what happened to you in terms of your farmstead and what actually happened. The listeners are very keen to really understand your personal experience, your personal account. Go ahead.
Okay, yes. If you look at South Africa, how did a minority foreigners manage to dominate majority Black people, the owners of the land?
Indeed.
If you look at America, how did a minority white settlers manage to dominate the Native Americans who are owners of the land? That is exactly what happened to Nigeria. This would be in the 19th century. So now they said that slavery, in terms of coming to the West Africa and buying Black people, was at an end. Europe then said, okay, we still want the riches of Africa. How do we get hold of that? So they then had the Berlin Conference and all these other things. And so Britain was now in charge of this area that was to become Nigeria. The Fulani had also been coming, but from the north. They are originally from Yemen and the Arabian Peninsula. But they'd been to other parts of Africa. So although some of them look very much like me, they see themselves as Arabs. So they were now coming from the north. The Britain was coming from the south because that's where the coast is.
Yes.
And the British met the Fulani on their conquest, agenda somewhere in the Middle Belt and recognized each other as two robbery gangs that want to rob indigenous Black people. They then went into an alliance. And don't forget, even if you've got a small population, but you've got superior technology, especially superior weapons, you can control everyone. So, for instance, if I was to go on a plane and, let's say a jumbo jet, I don't know how many people on a jumbo jet, let's say 300 people or whatever, or 277 or whatever. If I'm the one who's got a gun and a bomb, I'm going to control everybody, including the pilot.
Yes.
Yeah, because I've got the superior technology, I've got this weapon. Everybody's going to jump when I say. So that's how it happened. And so Britain was able. So as Britain was going around, conquering the different ethnic nations of Nigeria and taking them, with these treaties, they started off with business treaties, then they went to protection treaties, but it was really to grab the sovereignty of the ethnic nations. And the kings and chiefs who signed this treaty, they didn't know what they were signing. It would have been under duress, what I mean? Just like the Native Americans didn't know what they were signing. And so the British empowered the Fulani. So when the British were leaving, they made the Fulani to be the leaders.
I see.
That pre-independence election, it was actually rigged. You can read it. It should have been Awolowo who should have been the first prime minister.
Yes.
But they went and said it's Ahmadu Bello. But Ahmadu Bello didn't want to be prime minister, so he gave it to his stooge, Tafawa Balewa, while he remained premier of the northern region.
Right.
So, and then what else did they do? They then rigged the census, and that was suffering from that till today, because they then gave that area a higher population than the fertile South. Imagine, in all of West Africa, it's only in Nigeria that kind of thing has happened. Yeah, go figure. Yes. But so these are, so it's by brigandage. It's by brigandage, the same brigandage that the white people were able to colonize the Native Americans in America, in Canada, in South Africa. It's the same old story.
Can we just ask you, listeners are quite keen to hear your experience whilst you had your homestead. You said you described the intrusion by Fulani people into your homestead and destroying your land. Just explain what actually happened to you.
Okay. We started the farm. What happened is that my mom had already started the farm perhaps 15 years ago. So she had some land. So imagine some fields. Then we bought some more land, neighboring land, and then we also leased some other land to make it bigger. When I came in 2015, we already had bamboo fencing. Okay, Mark is here. I can see Mark is here. Okay, I'll be quick. We had bamboo fencing because that's what I can afford. If some people are filthy rich, they could be able to have, let's say, a brick wall. And let me just digress. My dad, when he was alive, he had land somewhere else with a brick wall, but the Fulani herdsmen broke in through the wall and entered that land. Yeah. So even if I had a brick wall, they probably would have done that. But I had bamboo, so they destroyed that. They then came in with their cattle. The cattle began to destroy the crops.
Yes.
We had in August 2015, we had 2009 palm seedlings. None of them grew. They set it on fire. They'll just set it on fire. And it's not like in England where you live on your farm. In Nigeria, most people don't live on the farm. You live in the village, then you go to the farm. So there's a hamlet. There was a hamlet near the farm where we get some of the workers. But anyway, they set the farm on fire.
Yes.
The lease land, because where I am is on a plateau. It's not Asaba. Has a lot of water. It's by the river. We are on a plateau. We don't have that much rain as well because of this being on a plateau. Yes. So the lease land had a well. They destroyed the well.
Oh,
yeah. They just decided they're going to destroy the well. The little structures that we had for the workers to relax and and have a little rest, they destroyed that. It was a mixed farming. We had cassava. Because my mom had started about 15 years or so before, we had some palm trees that had huge palm fruit. and from the palm fruit you get palm oil and all this. They got burnt. So I'd see the trees with all the palm fruit blackened. We have something called a borrow pit. So it's kind of like some land that people had dug because they wanted the soil to make bricks. Yeah. So we had a borrow pit. So we put these plantain are big bananas. So we put these plantain suckers. Oh, they never appeared. And the cassava, they made their cattle eat the cassava. The tomatoes, they mashed on the tomatoes. That we then tried to harvest what we could, but they were all green tomatoes, and Nigerians don't eat green tomatoes, So I tried to make passata, but how much passata can I make? Anyway, it was a horror. So that's what they did to me. They didn't kill anybody. They harassed the workers and frightened them. At the time, I didn't realize that they were on a Fulani conquest agenda. You can now see what they're doing in the Middle Belt. In the Middle Belt, they're killing farmers. They're attacking. They're going like dead of night, 2 a.m., 3 a.m. on motorbikes. 3 militia Fulani on each motorbike to a little hamlet with AK-47s, AK-49, machetes, killing people, raping the girls, all sorts. That's what they're doing in the Middle Belt. And you can read all about that. But for me, it was really loss of money, destruction of the farm, harassment of the workers. Nobody got killed. And with that, I yield the mic. I see the Mark is there. Thank you.
Okay. Well, Mark, welcome, Mark. Can you hear us all right, first of all? Can you hear us all right? Oh.
Yeah, I can hear you.
You can. If it's easier for you, you can turn off your camera if it's easier for if it eases the connection. But I just want to say thank you for joining us. Okay. And what I'm going to ask you to do, please, is just to introduce yourself to my audience. I know you. I know where you're from and what you represent. I just ask you to say a little bit about yourself so my audience can get to know you. Please, just... Can you hear us? We may have lost him already.
I didn't get the sentence.
Okay. What I recommend, Mark, if you turn off your camera, that might ease the connection. That might ease your connection. This is another aspect of the work. That might be better for you. Can you hear us all right, first of all? Can you hear us all right? What a great shame.
I said I did not get your last sentence.
I realize. Okay. Can I just ask you, please, Mark, if you could just introduce yourself?
I heard you talking. I heard you talking.
Okay. So here's my first. If I can ask you, first of all, just to introduce yourself, just describe, just say who you are and the organization you represent and the role you play in that organization. I don't think you can hear us very well.
You said what I represent.
Yes, can you introduce yourself? And just...
Are you asking what I represent?
Yes, just introduce yourself to the audience. Right.
Okay.
Go ahead, yes.
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning to you. Good morning.
Yeah, my name is Mark Olisa.
Okay. And just describe your organization. I know it's NINAS, of course, and the role you play in NINAS. Ndidi, can you still hear us all right? Ndidi, can you still hear us?
Oh, yes, I can hear.
You can, yeah. Yes. He can't hear us very well, unfortunately. What a shame. Mark, can you hear us? All right. You know what we'll do? We'll keep going with yourself, Ndidi, until Mark, I'm sure, will return to us. My next question to you, Ndidi, is this. I've seen it recorded both on your website and in the press that NINAS says that Nigeria is in a constitutional logjam. Can you explain what you mean by it's in a constitutional logjam?
Yes. Okay. By now, there's a a consensus throughout the country, more or less. It's only Peter Obi who's the only one who's saying that there's nothing wrong with the constitution. But every other person knows that there's something wrong with the constitution that is a forgery. The
And Tony Obi
1999
is the leader of the Labour
constitution is a
Party.
forgery. Yes, Peter Obi. Yeah, only Peter Obi is the only one still saying that there's no problem with it. There's even a video of him saying all that, But so, because the constitution is a forgery, it means that we have no constitution. So if I have money that is counterfeit, £20 note that's counterfeit, and that's all the money I have in the world, it means I've got zero money. I've got no money. But Ninas doesn't want anarchy. And now we've had some different meetings. There's a group of people called the Patriots. These are like eminent leaders.
Okay.
Yes. Leaders of thought.
Yes.
Then we've got the Nigerian Christian Elders Forum.
Yes.
They've all agreed that you cannot amend the 1999 constitution because you can't amend the forgery to make it legitimate. So what they've said is that we need a new constitution, but that's a problem in itself. It's not a new constitution we need. We need a new constitutional arrangement.
Okay.
So it's not a matter of just writing a constitution, because as a federation is the only way we can exist. And okay, Mark is back. A federation is the only way we can exist. And at the moment, they're saying that the federating units, we've got 36 of them. Each federating unit is supposed to have its own constitution. So it's not about one constitution. If we're having 36 states, we need 37 constitutions. One for each state and one that marries us, unites us. So it's not about doing one constitution, because how about the constitutions of the federating units? So we have to renegotiate everything. And it's not states. In America, America's a colony, and the white people did what they did. They've got all the technology, and so they scammed the owners of the land. We are still alive, and we've not yet been scammed like Native Americans have. So here it is not the states who have got constituent powers. It is the ethnic nations.
Yes.
So, for instance, I'm from Igbo ethnic nation, but most of my family are across the river in other states.
Yes.
So we're supposed to come as Igbo nation to discuss what it is we want. And Ijaw are also split into different states. About 3 states, I think, Ijaw are in.
Yes.
They're in Bayelsa, they're in Delta, they're in one of the Yoruba states, Ogun or whatever. So you see, so it is a constitutional arrangement that needs changing. So why is it that we are at a logjam? This is a union that's a hoax union, because the document that makes the union is a forgery. So it's a fake. It's make me believe. So it means that in actual fact we have no union. Then, when you have no union, and that same constitution creates the position of president, governor, senators, all these things. But the thing that creates it is a forgery.
Yes.
So where are the powers that they're using? Where is everything? You can't amend the 1999 constitution because you can't amend the forgery, and many Nigerians have agreed to it. So that's the constitutional crisis.
I understand.
We're in a lockdown. We can't go forward. We can't go backwards. So the only way to sort it out is to go to transitioning. That's the power of transitioning. Transitioning means it's like a bridge. And during transitioning, you say, okay, the government remains there.
Yes.
Even though it's an interregnum, even though it's an imposed interregnum, we don't want anarchy in this, because it's going to spread to Ghana, everywhere in West Africa, Cameroon.
Yes.
We don't want that. So we say we go to transitioning. The government remains in position, the governors, everybody. But when you're in transitioning and they form a transitional government, you have lesser powers. And also during transitioning, two things happen. You've got that transitional government, but alongside, you have a sovereign conference. It is that sovereign conference. For South Africa, they called it CODESA.
CODESA.
When Frederick
Yes.
the Third was the transitional government, you had CODESA that had Oliver Tambo, Nelson Mandela.
Yes.
So we would also have a sovereign conference alongside that would organize referendums and do the negotiations.
Right.
That is the way to sort this out. If we don't sort it out, then everybody can go their own way and there's going to be chaos.
Thank you,
So that's
Ndidi.
why we're in a constitutional crisis, because we've got no constitution to keep this union. Where are people getting the powers? Where's the union? You understand? It's a very serious thing.
Let me bring
So
in
I
Mark
yield the mic. Mark is back.
Yes,
Thank you.
Mark. Now, hopefully, Mark, your image looks much refined. Good morning to you. Can you hear us all right?
Yeah, good morning.
Good.
I was disconnected.
Okay, well, you're here now. It's good. It's good. I'm just conscious of time, but I do want you just to introduce yourself to the audience. Okay, just give your name, the organisation, and the role you play in the organisation, just so my audience can be familiar with you. Then I then begin the interview with yourself. Go ahead, please introduce yourself.
My name is Mark Olisa. I am part of the Secretariat public communication, public and strategic communications, department in the Secretariat of the Nigerian Indigenous Nationalities Alliance for Self-Determination. I am from the Midwestern part of the country, because that was what we were before the military toppled the Constitution of the people. The Independence Constitution of Nigeria was done away with in 1963 to give birth to a Republican Constitution to seal up the independence status of Nigeria as a federal republic. But the military in 1966 toppled that Republican Constitution and imposed, its own rule and will, and imposed itself as a sovereign.
Yes.
When we, the people, were declared the sovereign as a sovereign with the 1963 Constitution. And prior to the toppling of that Constitution, we got the Midwestern region as part of negotiations and the national dialogue that led to the 1963 Constitution.
Yes.
So you can see how far Nigeria has gone from its original basis, decided by the people.
Right.
And that is the basis upon which all the agitations in the country, are embedded. Whether it is in the north, whether it is the Hausas trying to, counter the colonizing effect of the Fulanis, or whether it is the Middle Belt people today who are being slaughtered in the name of open grazing, and people seeking freedom of movement for cattle, instead of domesticating them in one place and in their ranches. Meanwhile, that we have discovered that is a cover up for an attempt to colonize the country crudely, claiming to create cattle colonies across the country.
Yes.
Then whether it is the Yorubas who are asserting and making declarations of Oduduwa nation, or whether it is in the eastern part of the country where people are saying that returning to the Biafra declared by Colonel Ojukwu and others is the only way out. So all of these are embedded in the usurpation of the sovereign powers of the people by the military and the narrow elite interests that they represent.
A question for you in that case, and just for clarity's sake. So Ninas is a tip of the spur, but the message is a message for all Nigerians. So Ninas is a organization made up of many peoples. I understand you have a Yoruba bloc, is that right? Within Ninas?
Yeah, Ninas is an alliance of
Please, yes.
all the groups that are carrying out activities to enforce their right to self-determination.
Okay.
LINAS is an alliance of groups that are carrying out activities to exercise their right to self-determination. These groups hitherto had been exercising these rights in isolation of other groups that suffer the same, that suffer the same situation or circumstances with them.
That's
in
right.
terms of this military imposition of the constitution and taking away the land of the people through the Land Use Act, taking away the natural resources of the people through the Petroleum Resources Act and several other of such of related acts of the military, which have been encoded, all those acts of the military by which the resources and land and sovereignty of the people were usurped have been codified into what they now call the 1999 Constitution, upon which this so-called democracy is built on.
Yes.
So that is the basis of all the agitations by these groups. There are several of such groups, in the country. So NINAS is an alliance of all of these groups with the main purpose of toppling that constitution.
Yes.
Toppling that constitution and forcing a national conversation that will lead to new, a new constitutional order. A transitioning process that will bet a transitioning process that will lead to a new constitutional order that will be built based on the people exercising their sovereign powers.
Absolutely.
Which means that they will have to agree on how they will govern their selves, their constitution, and what powers they are going to, concede to a central body that they will agree to federate to, and not forced to federate.
Right. Okay. And of course, I've read that in December 16th in 2020, you declared or proclaimed a force majeure. Is that right?
That is notice of constitutional grievances.
Yes.
We proclaimed and gave a notice of the constitutional grievances and made demands on the political establishment of the country for a peaceful transitioning.
Okay. Can I now just take you? I'm just conscious of time, so I'm going to go forward. And as you'll be aware, that here in London and the borough, the municipal area that I represent, we have the highest concentration of Nigerians in Britain, concentrated here in one municipal area. Okay. And of course, therefore, I come in contact with family members, and their needs are basic and straightforward basics. Okay. So if the NINAS alliance was successful, what would it mean for families in Nigeria? How would their circumstances change?
It is not NINAS that will be successful.
Indeed,
it is whether the people will be successful in getting their freedom and getting their sovereignty restored.
Okay.
And you know what it means when the people exercise their sovereign powers. You can see everywhere in the world where people have their sovereign power, bestowed or rested on them. They build inclusive institutions.
Okay.
Like inclusive political institutions and inclusive political processes to also guarantee inclusive economic processes and inclusive economic institutions.
Okay.
And you know what that entails for Great Britain, for the United States, for South Korea, for Japan, for Australia, for Canada, for Western Europe.
Yes.
And some part of Eastern Europe, they are trying to buy into that, Poland and the rest. Inclusive society guarantees that you actually key effectively into the Industrial Revolution and open up productivity and production.
Yes.
Instead of having an extractive political process and political institutions, that will constrict the economic space, extract from the lot of the people to benefit only a few. Like you see, like I talked about the Land Use Act, where the government, through their imposed 1999 Constitution, took over all the lands of the country. Do you know
Yes.
that all the lands of Nigeria, all the land in Nigeria belongs to the federal and
Government.
state
Yes.
government of Nigeria,
Wow. Huh?
based on that constitution? And
Yes.
all the minerals
Yes. Yes.
rest with them. So the mineral, your ancestral land does not belong to you. Your ancestral land doesn't belong to you. You are under what they call tenancy. They will give you certificate of occupancy. That's the highest you have on your land, your ancestral land, our own land that we inherited from our ancestors.
Amazing. Amazing. Amazing.
So these are the things that will be restored back to the people.
Yes.
Then you have economic institutions where if you have great ideas like Elon Musk, you know, Jeff Bezos,
Yes.
then Virgin Atlantic founder,
Yes.
you know, and the rest, you have access to credit. You have there will be institutions already in place. You have access to credit and support for you to grow that idea. Innovation will be facilitated easily.
Thank you.
Jobs will be created randomly.
Let me just interrupt there. So, what it mean? This is what I received. Messages I received from Nigerians here in London. Would it mean that there'll be less corruption in the country if we have the new constitutional arrangement? Tell us why. Tell us why.
Because corruption is a major feature of an extractive institution, extractive political institutions that they have put in place to take away from the majority, to benefit a narrow interest group. Like if you must have heard, Dangote became this rich because of patronage, license by the authority that is exclusive to him and away from other people. A form of, in fact, a major monopoly.
Yes. Yes.
These are features of non-inclusive, or what some political economists refer to as extractive political institutions. They create extractive economic institutions and deprive the majority. Your idea dies with you. Like the banking sector in Nigeria today, as we speak, you see them, they lend money to politicians.
Amazing.
I mean, to the government, because they lend money to the government, they will not lend money to you, the innovator.
That's right.
In fact, innovation dies with you.
Yes.
They lend money to the oil corporations who are extracting oil on behalf of Nigeria, and a lot of the oil is lost in transit, unaccounted for. They lend money to those people, but they will not lend to you, the innovator, the small and medium scale enterprise, the man who wants to, drive innovative growth, to increase the productivity, to increase national productivity. They will never support you, because that is how the economy is organized.
I've got to say, Mark, I've read an interesting article on the purchasing power of Nigeria. The GDP is estimated at 1.1 trillion in the formal economy, but there's a further 1.1 trillion in the informal economy. Yeah, and if you were able to bring the informal economy back into the formal economy, the economy would be worth more than $2 trillion. It's an astonishing figure, and go to show how much corruption, how much theft is underway as we speak. Which is why I've got to support the NINAS initiative and the alliance that you've created. Another question, if I may take you on very quickly, another basic question Nigerians always challenge me, particularly when speaking to politicians, and I'm a politician, can you believe that, of course, is that would it mean that Nigerians will be guaranteed access to reliable electricity? You see? I speak to Ndidi every so often, and I'm always astonished that she doesn't have reliable electricity. Would it mean if you're successful, the alliance is successful, there'll be reliable electricity for all Nigerians? Over to you, Mark.
Yeah, consequentially, when you have a system that is functioning, that releases the creative energies of the people, that eliminates poverty as a culture. Eliminates corruption as a political culture.
Yes.
Definitely merit will be the basis of determining national assignments, public assignments, and even business activities will be guided.
Yes.
Recruitment processes and the rest will be guided on the basis of merit, a merit-based system. Even the educational institutions will, brace up to
Yes.
contribute their quota, because there will be no room for nativism and other nepotistic or ethnic irredentism, which has become the basis for negotiating who gets what and when
Yes. Well
within
said.
the current corrupt Nigerian political arrangement.
Well said. Well said. Now, I read another article which was suggested that for every 100 Nigerian graduate, more than 80% go overseas to pursue their careers. In other words, there's a real brain drain from Nigeria. But my next question to you is another basic question, and these are the if you satisfy people's basic needs, and of course you have a society. Will that mean that the government would invest in good healthcare, good schools, and good universities if the new arrangements were put in place? Over to you, Mark.
Yeah, it's the same for all sectors of the society, not just the government. The government will become more responsible under an arrangement in which power resides in the people.
Yes.
And inclusive institutions have been created, both political and economic. And the economic processes and political processes are transparent. You will see that the educational institutions will flourish. They will become like you have in the UK and in the US, Canada, and elsewhere. And jobs will be everywhere.
Yes.
You understand? And
Yes.
so you have more of Nigerians overseas returning back to key into the renewed national vigor.
Right. Yes. Agreed.
So this brain drain will be reversed,
Uh-huh.
and the immigration crisis being suffered in the US, and even the border crisis in the US and the rest, Nigerians will contribute lesser to that. People who will be going out for other social reasons. I mean, personal social reasons, and not a reason of collapse or the lack of freedom or lack of opportunities in their countries.
Okay. Thank you. And I know there are many Nigerians who will be listening and viewing this podcast and wanted to hear you say those words, But the world will be much better if Nigeria reconfigures so that we can have peace that leads to prosperity for all peoples of Nigeria. Can I ask them that this is a movement? It doesn't matter if you're Igbo or Hausa, if you're Yoruba or other person from Nigeria. It is the same mission. It is clear. The mission is clear. Okay. How can those who are listening to us now contact yourself and join with you to achieve this outcome that is a better Nigeria, but that it's for the people, by the people? How can they contact you?
Our website is open. Then we have phone numbers. We have phone numbers by which we can be contacted.
Okay. Let's see. I wonder if I can share with you any of my. Let's see if I've got it here. I might have it here in a moment. Contact details for Ninas. So your website address. Can someone? Indeed, do you have the website address handy there? Let me put it on the screen. I think I'll put it on the screen.
It's www.ninasvoice, as you know, voice speaking, .org. So www.ninasvoice.org. And when you get onto that, you can click onto the YouTube. There's a YouTube logo, and you go to the YouTube channel. And then you can also click onto the Facebook logo, and you go onto the Facebook page.
Perfect. Okay, well, we're coming to a close now. Can I ask you, Mark, what would be your message to Nigerians overseas who've had the opportunity to view and listen to you? What would be your key message you want to give them by way of encouragement? What's your key message?
Well, my key message to them is that first, they should continue to represent us as responsible people over there, and two, add their voices to this campaign, research our materials, and also study wide and far how other countries have ensured their advancement, and that will help them appreciate better what is happening here at ground zero. Then they should try and give as much support as they can. As they add their voices over there, they should try and give as much support as they can. The Europeans and other people that have broken loose from extractive institutions did so by contributing, their time and resources to the process. If you are not available in ground zero, you should also be, your resources should be available. Contribute to the pulse of the movement to carry on with this noble cause that will create in a buffer. Everybody needs a homeland that guarantees, even when you are in a foreign land, you need a homeland that guarantees your respect and dignity wherever you are in the world. The Jews, for example, the state of Israel guarantees the security and the dignity of the Jews anywhere in the world they are, unlike the case during the time of Adolf Hitler and the rest who massacred them.
Yes.
So let's do the best we can to get our country out of this stranglehold. Freedom is priceless.
Well said. Freedom is priceless. Freedom is priceless. There's a question in the chat. You may see it here. It says here, what about the descendants of those who were stolen? Will they be welcome in Nigeria, in the future Nigeria? Indeed, you want to respond to that? Yes, I see you nodding.
Very much so. I have a great love for the those who, like, Black America Nation, Jamaica Nation, Barbados Nation, Black Brazil Nation, those who were kidnapped from here and suffered the greatest evil. Yes, yes, yes. That's one of the reasons I'm very hopeful that we will sort out this space into federation or confederation, as the people want, or independent successor countries. And yes, all people, melanated people, will be very welcome. We would be so happy to have them. And this part of the world has some very beautiful, natural, beautiful areas. So even people from Japan, from China, come and visit us. Let's, we can, as tourists and things, but in a special, special way, all those who were grabbed from here and taken into horrific slavery would be more than welcome.
Well said. Thank you. Thank you. It is true. I don't often hear Nigerians say this, I have to say. It's interesting, isn't it? So it is good. And I see you both smiling. And there was another question in the chat. I might just pick up on this, but I believe this question's been answered. But just for clarity's sake, I will just read it out. What is the ultimate constitutional goal of NINAS? A unity state, examples, it says here, Russia, China, Singapore, or Jamaica. A federal republic, example, USA, Canada, or indeed a union of four nations like the UK. What is the final configuration you believe that will be settled upon? I think you've answered this question, but just for clarity's sake, the listeners has put it in the chat. What would be the example that you might call upon? Who wishes to respond, Mark or Ndidi?
I think it should be based on a negotiation. That is why we say a negotiated transition. You understand? So when the people meet, the negotiations will determine what the outcome will be. NINAS as an alliance cannot predetermine the outcome because there are different groups within NINAS that are making different demands on what the outcome should be. It is when there is a discussion within the various groups that want to federate, within them and between them. First of all, within them, and then between them. They will not determine what it's going to be like, whether it's a confederation, whether it is independent nations that will be collaborating like the EU, or whether it is a confederation, whether it is a federation, But at least the minimum is that the sovereign powers of people have to be restored, and then how they are going to relate with each other will be decided by how much concessions all of the sides are ready to make and give.
Thank you. In other words, it's up for negotiation. You give and you take, but you arrive at a mutual agreement that all can agree to.
Yeah,
And
really
that's right.
negotiated.
Well said. Well said. And I think that responds to that
But
particular.
that would be the beginning of creating inclusive institutions.
Well said. Well said.
Inclusive political institutions that will not guarantee inclusive economic institutions.
Well said. Well said. Well said. All right. I'm now almost out of time. Almost out of time. What I want to do first of all is to thank you both for that very clear response to the questions. I know what you've been able to do is to bridge understanding between many people here in London who are misunderstanding what is happening in Nigeria. Okay? And what you've been able to do is provide clarity. You shone light on reality, as opposed to being filtered through, in our case, the BBC and other media outlets who really do not report on Nigeria as you and I would expect. Do you have any closing words, Mark? I'll give it to you first, and then I'll go to Ndidi. Any closing words for the audience? Any closing words?
Well, I have said something that sounded like a closing word to the foreign diaspora. Okay, this time around, let me talk generally because it will be posted online. This conversation will be posted on YouTube and other places for people to see at a later date. What we need, the world should understand that the sky is large enough for many birds.
Yes.
You understand?
Yes.
Even with the industrial revolution, even if the European countries did not colonize Africa, Latin America, they would still have been prosperous.
Yes.
Because even the political economy alone within your country, the creative energy that you have released, and that people are now making things, buying and selling is taking place, technological changes are taking place, will ensure that there is prosperity for all. So people should allow us, Nigerians, to grow. It is in the interest of everybody for us to grow, because if we don't make the institutions in Nigeria inclusive, I can assure you that even the small degree of centralization, state centralization that is making Nigeria not to finally become like Somalia, will be lost.
Yes.
With all this agitation, the centrifugal forces that you see that they are battling to tear the country apart, if you don't allow us to create inclusive institutions, they will tear each other and tear the country apart. Somalia will be a child's play. And with that non-centralized state power to make sure to maintain law and order, the refugee crisis that we will contribute, our contribution to the refugee crisis of the world will be far more than what the world today can bear. Today, you see people are talking about the rise of the far right, political elections and campaigns being determined by the immigration question and the rest. You can see the social dislocation, the political and social dislocation that is already causing. In the US, it has never been this divided. The UK has never been this divided.
Indeed. Yeah.
Europe, both West and East, have never been this divided.
Yes.
So the West, for example, should see this as part of resolving the Nigerian question. They should see it as part of addressing the refugee question.
Yes.
The immigration question in Europe, the immigration question in America, resolving the Nigerian question, creating inclusive institutions that will guarantee innovation and the relevant technological changes in Nigeria for us to contribute to the global wealth, to global prosperity, will be better for the whole of mankind and humanity.
Thank you for that. And inspired words. He's so young, if I may say so. He looks so young, Inspired words. Thank you. And did it give us your final words? Because You're the literary genius here, so please share with us.
Well, I echo everything that Mark has said. And I
Yes.
want to remind us that because the 1999 Constitution is a forgery, it's been rejected. It's that means we've got no union agreement. It means we've got no union.
Hmm.
Nigeria is at constitutional crisis. We've got to be honest now.
Yes.
Ezioku Bondo.
Hmm.
Nigeria's a constitutional crisis, a constitutional logjam.
Hmm.
People like P2B who are saying that the constitution has no problem, you need to challenge him. A
Hmm.
forgery is a problem.
Okay.
And Ninas is the only group of people organized, it's a movement, organized people. We've got a strategy. We've done a lot of work, for the past 24 years. So
Hmm.
no point wasting time. People are being killed every day in the Middle Belt. Let us go to transitioning. Let us go to transitioning where we will have sovereignty and self-determination, restoration. And it is we, the people, it is the people who will decide if it's going to be a federation
Hmm.
or if they want more self-determination, a confederation, or
Yes.
if they want independent successor countries.
Hmm.
Okay, so it's the people who will decide. No imposition by any foreigners or by
Hmm.
any big man or big
Hmm.
woman. Let
Hmm.
the people decide. That is my last word. Thank you very much for
Thank you.
having me.
Thank you both for being outstanding guests, and I look forward to doing this again with you. Next time, I will open the phone line, so be ready for next time. But Mark, well said, and thank you, thank you. They said you look so young. You look as young as my son. You see, so but such a brilliant mind. Thank you so much. Thank you to you both, and we'll be in touch. We'll be in touch. Blessed to you.
Yeah,
Blessed to you. Forward.
thank you.
Power to the people. Power to the people. There you go. There you go. Let me just take this out. Okay. Thank you. Bye bye. Bye bye. Wow. Wasn't that something? Wasn't that something? I've got to say. In fact, what I will do, I realise that I have got it here somewhere. The connection for the Nina's the details here. Let me just bring it up on the screen. Let me see if I can get up very quickly. So you will have the details. You can make contact with Nina's via the website. If I bring up there you go. It's on the screen now. So the Nina's Secretariat. So the email address, it's info@ninasvoice.org, or the website is Nina's Voice, NINASVOICE.org. Okay, so that's the website, or you can call the Secretariat, the international code +234 912 1551. Okay, and I believe I've got to commend them to you. They are a demonstration of what is possible. Yeah, where there's a will, there is a way, and where you have unity, the people cannot be defeated. Okay, the people united, they say. People united. So that was it. That was an example of what is possible when Africans come together in common aim and common purpose and disregard religious, ethnic, or other so-called barriers and come together with a clear purpose to create peace so that all prosperity to all Nigerians, all peoples are therefore possible. You create conditions in which prosperity is possible. I'm immensely proud to have those two guests here today. They've demonstrated what is possible. And I look forward to step changes occurring in great Nigeria. Okay. I look forward to those step changes. On this occasion, I didn't open the phone. I wanted to give them maximum opportunity. Mark was able to express himself with sufficient depth, yet with sufficient clarity that I know we all understood and we all could affiliate to and understand the purpose is one that is noble, one that we should get behind and support. We cannot have Nigeria along the current trajectory and hope for the best. The future is what we make it because we take deliberate action to ensure the outcomes that we have envisaged, that we most desire. That's in our family's interest, indeed the community's, the people's interest. Yeah, there you go. There you go. Wow, I'm just so immensely proud of them. Immensely proud of them. So, if you are Nigerian, please contact them. Yep, have that dialogue. I know there may be some empathy at first, some tension at first, but find a way that you can find common aim and common purpose, because together you are the change makers. Don't believe the propaganda that suggests you one can't make the difference. You absolutely can. You absolutely can. You are the change makers that they don't want you to know. You are the change makers. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh. That's why I do these podcasts. That's why I do these shows. That's why I do this every Saturday. Yes, that's why I do this. Because of experiences such as this. But if in doubt, ask questions. I'll put that back on the screen so those of you can take note of it again. Contact the NINA Secretariat. You've got the telephone number, Nigeria plus 234 912 1551, or the website, it's www.ninasvoice, NINASVOICE.org. O-R-G. There you are. Okay, so I commend them to you. I commend them to you. And you know, I'm not that type of person to be frivolous in my commendations. Just to be quite clear, I scrupulously scrutinize to ensure that the organization that I commend has the will, the reputation, the integrity to go forward to achieve their objectives. Absolutely, absolutely, absolutely. All righty. So we're now approaching the closing minute. I'm sorry I didn't open the phone line, but it was deliberate. I wanted to make sure we give these presenters and give the NINA Secretariat the opportunity to put their case forward. Okay, and if there are others who disagree with it, I might take a future podcast in which we'll have other community members from Nigeria really to give maybe an alternative perspective. That's fine, but only if you're seeking, of course, common aim and common purpose. What I don't want to hear is that I'm not going to talk for them. I will not work with them. That's a cul-de-sac. That's a dead end. It goes nowhere. I'm afraid in societies, we've got to give and we've got to take. We've got to give something in order to gain far more in return. Okay? And that does often take courage. It takes courage. Yep, it takes courage. Anyway, there you are on that subject. Well done, well done. To all Nigerians, I applaud you all. I applaud you all. All righty, all righty. There, I'm coming to a close. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to play my intro video. The intro video is put together. It in many ways surmises the interview we've just had, but places it in very clear terms of the trajectory that I know the majority of Nigerians would seek to achieve. Okay, a reformed, a new, reconfigured Nigeria. Okay, and as indeed is said, either you want a federal system, yeah, or you want a confederation, or you want a union of the type that we have here in Britain. We have 4 nations under one, as it were. Okay? You've got to decide. But it's up to Nigerians to decide that, not for us outside. It's through negotiation, honest, open negotiation. All righty, all righty. Okay, I'm now going to play my intro video, which, as I said, really does summarize this, and share, please share the links of this show with your friends, your families, with your network. Just share the links. Please share it. Spread the word. And don't forget to leave a comment after you've viewed the video, okay? And to give us a likes, a thumbs up, or some other expression that indicates that you've approved, that this show had really met and realized your expectations, okay? Or give us a real applause. There you are. Do you see the fireworks coming out of my head? Yeah, absolutely. Give us an applause. But remember to share the links, okay? And of course, subscribe. It's for free. Doesn't cost you a penny. It just gives us an affirmation the content is right for you, your families, your friends, and your networks. Until the next strong, I am the motivator. Okay? This is where we translate our words into action and where success is ours for the taking. And don't forget, hey, the Motivator Show, the internet's most inspirational podcast. Every Saturday morning from 8 to 10 a.m. Ninas is right. Part 2, the big debate. Ninas is right. The movement for the new Nigeria, which was an alliance comprising of self-determination organizations of the Lower Niger Bloc, the Yoruba Bloc, and the Middle Belt Bloc. Although these organizations worked separately in their blocks, they would meet and work together as a MNN alliance. It is the MNN alliance of self-determination organizations that birthed the Ninas movement. Ninas is right. Our purpose: to promote and foster self-determination for the indigenous people of the target area, also called the Ninas Alliance territory. Ninas is right. Our mission: the Ninas movement is a firm and active commitment to creating and maintaining friendships, alliances, and productive unity amongst all the indigenous peoples of our alliance territory, both at home and abroad. Ninas is right. Our goal: to decommission the illegitimate 1999 constitution, which is the mechanism used by the minority to create a situation worse than the apartheid South Africa. Our strategy, by way of the orderly process of constitutional force majeure, declared by Ninas in Lagos on the 16th of December 2020. It involves working with current government structures to start the transition process while ethnic nationalities exercise their sovereignty via self-determination regional referendum. Our destination is a society in which indigenous ethnic nationalities are able to peacefully and democratically decide what political arrangement they want to obtain via autochthonous constitution in a proper and honest way. At long last, indigenous people will be able to transition to a new geographical and political arrangement chosen by we, the people. Ninas is right. The results of peaceful negotiations will benefit all families. Good education services promote good family values. Good healthcare services. Ninas is right. The result of peaceful negotiations will reduce government official corruptions. Governance in the public interest, an efficient civil service, police service, not a police force. Nidas is right. The result of peaceful negotiations will improve access to basic services, access to clean water, reliable electricity supply, reliable internet services. Nidas is right. The result of peaceful negotiations will ensure Nigeria's natural resources benefit Nigeria, not just foreign corporations. Invest to export rare metals. Invest in gas and to export refined oil. Invest to export lithium for energy storage. Nidas is right. The result of peaceful negotiations will create the environment for the 21st century digital economy. To create African digital corporations, integrate all Nigerians into the international digital economy, create African quantum computer manufacturing capacity. Nidas is right. The Motivator Show. Success is ours for the taking. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. It's free. Press the like button and don't forget to leave a comment. Follow us on Facebook. Give us the thumbs up and share with your family and friends. We are also on Instagram and TikTok. Follow us there too. You can listen to us on galaxy.net and also Mixcloud too.